Okay, if you hear my dog with a bone or snoring, I'm sorry. It's not me, I promise. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. My name's Nicole Curbs, and I like to talk about what I like to watch and what I like to read. Okay, so this is day 4 of my VLOGMAS adventure, and today I kind of wanted to talk about, my journey with reading this year. As a kid, I was a huge bookworm, and I spent a lot of time reading stacks of books on the floors of Barnes & Noble, on the floors of Borders, on the floors of libraries. I knew they had chairs. I just never sat in them. I would read like 5 books at a time. I would read in the car before bed or on planes or by the pool or the beach. And then I got a smartphone and I just stopped reading. I'm just kidding. I think it was really college that kind of made me fall out of love with reading. So much required reading for 4 years, I just didn't make time to read anymore for fun. So when I was out of college, I felt pressured to read more nonfiction books, less fiction. I think I equated being an adult with constant self-improvement. So I read a lot of self-improvement books, first the generic ones like You Are a Badass, then the ones, that were about habits, like Atomic Habits. And then I read the ones that NPR told me to read, like Tipping Point and other kind of Gladwell adjacent books. I would then try to read more self-helpy books, I guess, that were specialized based on whatever industry I thought I wanted to get into. Stuff with titles like How to Break into This Industry or like This is Marketing, period. I don't know. But here's my take on self-improvement, okay? And this might be controversial, I'm sorry, but I feel like when I'm reading books that are specifically geared towards improving myself, I just kind of feel like a perpetual before picture. Just even reading a lot of these titles just makes me feel bad about myself. The Art of Tidying Up, You Lazy Slob. The Atomic Habits one, aka The Habits of People Who Are Better Than You. The 4-Hour Work Week, because if you work 40 hours, I guess you're useless. What's next? The 4-Pound Body, because you're a whale, I'm kidding. Kinda. I don't know. I had to move away from the books that were overtly telling me what to do, I think is really what I'm trying to say. So over the last few years, I started to read more pop science books, like Bullshit Jobs or So You've Been Publicly Shamed, or other books like Freakonomics. Those are fun. These were engaging, informative, and I liked them more than the self-improvement genre for sure. But also these books can kind of read like a podcast sometimes. Sometimes these books are podcasts. Like Freakonomics is a podcast. Why did you write a book, So this summer, though, I got laid off from a job that I really loved, and I'd kind of seen it coming, but it still stung, of course. I didn't have anything else lined up, so I just threw myself into comedy and other creative projects. I wrote stand-up sets, I went to open mics, I did improv shows, I did improv practice 2 days a week, I built a website, I booked photo shoots with people, I helped lead team building workshops. I was really trying to just stay busy, because if I was busy, then I didn't have to wonder what the hell I was going to do next. So I checked out this book from my local library, which, by the way, if your local library offers Libby, you can check out books digitally and read them on your phone or your Kindle or your iPad for free, for $0, okay? Support local libraries, for Christ's sake. Trust me, I love a Barnes & Noble, but that adds up real quick, especially when you're fun employed, okay? So this year, I picked up a different kind of self-improvement book. I know I just shat on self-help for 5 minutes, but please hear me out. You ever pick up a book that feels exactly like what you need in that very moment? This book kind of felt like that. I had heard of Elizabeth Gilbert. Eat, Pray, Love was a bestseller for years. It was adapted into a film with Julia Roberts, so I was aware of it and I was aware of her. But what I didn't know was that Eat, Pray, Love was kind of based on Gilbert's kind of creative journey of finding herself. So she wrote this book called Big Magic, and it's all about kind of connecting with your inner artist, with your creativity, and following your intuition. I flew through this book. I cried a little bit here and there even. It was cathartic, because ultimately it kind of felt like I was really pulling back a decade of tamping down my creativity or my wants or my interests my authenticity because I was trying to fit in with all these other people. But like, it's dumb too, because, you know, like in your 20s, you don't know what the hell you're doing. You have no idea. Like, you're trying out different aesthetics. You're listening to different music. You know, you're building different habits, and you're cultivating different hobbies, jobs, boyfriends, girlfriends, partners, whatever. Like, different hair colors, different piercings. You know, you don't know who you are, and you don't know what you really like or what you really want, you know? So this summer where I had no job lined up, this book really kind of inspired me to connect with myself a little more deeply and identify the things that inspired me, and identify the things that didn't. Figure out the people who encouraged me. Identify the people who didn't, you know, find the hobbies that I enjoyed doing versus hobbies I took on because other people were doing it. So one of the realizations that I had when I was reading this book was that, you know, I did love reading. I was just reading the wrong books. You know, this book made me fall back in love with reading. And it also made me kind of curious to find out, you know, what kind of books I actually did like to read. So when I finished this one, I picked up another and another and another. I've read 12 books this year. And honestly, that's the most I've read as an adult probably ever. Because I'm notorious for getting overly ambitious about my goals, you know, I plan to read 20 books this year, and I'm at 12, so I can get there. Just pray for me. But when I realized when browsing for books is that I actually really connect with fiction. I don't care much for nonfiction, to be honest, and that may change. You know, your personal taste changes, and that's okay. You know, but for right now, I love being sucked into a really good story. I'm not necessarily married to one genre or the other, but a lot like movies. I guess I'm inclined more towards horror, but I also love horror comedy. And currently, I'm going through a phase where I'm really obsessed with these little cozy kitchen mysteries. I didn't even know that was a genre before. Did you know that? You should read it. I'm into it. But anyway, so I have a couple like key takeaways about reading that I've just kind of been stewing over. One thing is I just think it's important to read what you personally connect with. Like, if a book doesn't grab you right away, then don't read it. I don't think there's anything wrong with not finishing a book too. Even if someone you respect recommended a book to you, that doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna like it. You know, reading is really personal. It's a lot like watching movies and shows. I'm not necessarily telling you that if you don't watch Deadlock or Talk to Me, then you're a peasant. I'm just telling you that that's what I love to watch and read, you know? Also, don't be ashamed about, you know, what you like to read. Again, this is really personal. If you're obsessed with fantasy, paranormal, romance, history, whatever, you know, you do you. Oh, hi, Bentley. I think it's my buddy. He's here. Ow. I think I need to throw this ball 1 second. Another thing I think is really cool is that reading can kind of lead to community. I love a book club. I think they're adorable. You know, when you meet a friend who loves the same show as you or is obsessed with your favorite band, I love when you find friends that love the same books that you do, because then when they recommend something, you know that they know your taste and your interest. You know that they're recommending it because they know you. They have the same taste. That's what I love about art as well, is that it really does bring people together, you know, and in this day and age, there's a niche for everything. Book Talk is thriving right now. I actually found some really cool YouTubers as well as TikTokers that give really good recommendations on any kind of genre under the sun. So definitely look into that if you're looking for the next thing to read. Another thing that I love about reading is it forces you to take your time. I say that as I'm trying to read fucking 9 books in less than a month like a psycho, but do as I say, not as I do. But the thing is that reading is just slow. It's meant to be. If you're trying to optimize everything else in your life, from your commute to your meal prepping and your workout, I mean, just give yourself a hobby where you are allowed to take your time, you know? I like that reading forces me to slow down a little bit. I also feel like reading kind of promotes creativity. I've been wanting to do this YouTube thing for 5 years. I don't know if I'm doing it well, but I'm fucking doing it, you know? So, but I picked up reading again, aka connected, you know, with my inner child, I guess. And now I feel just so creatively inspired. Another thing about reading is that I feel like it's arguably one of the cheapest hobbies that you can have. I know we all love a bookstore, okay? But books can really add up at a Barnes and Noble. And I'm telling you, the library is where it's at. And if you'd like to own your own books, check out some used bookstores or thrift stores, antique stores. Those are great options too. I've got some amazing finds from antique stores. Like, I'm talking like first rollout of like Stephen King books, which is really cool. And also, used bookstores can ship things to you too if you order online, like if there aren't any near you. My favorite bookstores are like Half Price Books in Texas. I don't know if they're in Texas. I mean, like, that's just where I found them. Powell's World of Books in Portland. Cool bookstore. And another bookstore I really love is Park Road Books in Charlotte. But if you want to support used or indie bookstores, I mean, you should definitely try to order from them online. Another option as well is thriftbooks.com. I'm a big fan of them too. Anyway, all of this to say that I'm so happy that I picked up reading again. But what about you? Are you a big reader? What are you reading these days? Like, let me know your thoughts or your books that you're into right now in the comments below. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow.